Every time you walk into an environment, can you not help but identify the beauty that lays in that environment? But then slowly find yourself waning into identifying certain things in that same environment that could be improved upon and done better. Every time you're put on a project and you begin to work on it, do you then begin to think, I am certain there are better ways of doing this? Or when you step into a group of people, do your current beliefs begin to feel challenged? Do you start to think, maybe I'm operating at a lower level of efficiency? Or as a sports fan, when you watch athletes compete in their various disciplines, do you begin to appreciate their inherent and evident ability to show and display so much rigor and discipline in whatever they're doing? Do you appreciate people who are operating at a better, more productive pace than you are? Or simply put, when you look at the current state of your life, while you appreciate the progress you've made, are there areas where you think to yourself, I'm sure I could do better? Or better still, are you currently dissatisfied with where you find yourself? Do people, circumstances, and life experiences challenge what you currently hold up as your standard of excellence? Or even further, are you currently experiencing challenging life circumstances that make you feel like the world is crushing on you? It might be the departure of a loved one, the transition of a loved one into eternity. Or as a business owner, you feel like you're not delivering the results that you're supposed to deliver. Or you're delivering those results, but you get to realize that your business isn't responding to a certain demographic. You feel like you're limited in your growth. You've made plans, but it feels like you're stalled at a current level where you're at. Or you just want better for yourself overall. You see, as human beings, God has put within each and every one of us the ability to live a life of purpose as destined by God. And within us, and also externally, there's going to be triggers or signals that would, one, make us realize or identify some potential that we have, but also make us uncomfortable when we're operating below the level of excellence that we've been destined to. Welcome to this new episode on the dynamics of change. And today's topic is how to identify the triggers of change to take us from one level of excellence to the other. If you've answered yes to all the previous questions that I asked, then this episode is meant for you. You see, as human beings, and in the previous episodes, we've gone over different topics around change. As human beings who are the main target of any change, and as leaders or aspiring leaders who would love or like to lead these changes, we got to be able to identify some of the triggers or certain things that will provoke, establish, and implement change in our lives first, and then in the external world. Every human being on the surface of the earth is created for a reason, for a purpose. And some people are lucky to have parents, mentors, people they look up to earlier on in their lives who understand this reality and who are willing to hold their hand and walk with them to trigger change in their lives or help them navigate changing times and seasons. And for these people, we're grateful. But then there's another category who didn't have these mentors early on. And maybe you're one of them. And that's how life is. It's a beautiful panache and mix of people with different experiences, different cultures, different backgrounds. And in all of that, there is a fairness of God. Because no one truly leaves their full potential by accident. No one truly undergoes a transformation, a God-led transformation, a true transformation by accident. Transformation, change always happens. But personal change with real impact never happens by accident. Therefore, if you're in the category of those who are just now beginning to own their personal change, their personal journey with change, you're at the right place. And even if you had experienced this earlier, you had people to guide you through these different triggers of change, these different or how to navigate the changing times and seasons. There's coming a time where you also have to own that process by yourself moving forward in order not to be obsolete and to become a leader in your own right. Therefore, at the moment where you're listening to this podcast, if you feel your productivity needs to improve, if you want to take your business to a new level, to new frontiers, to new vistas, if you would like to expand your skill base, your network, if you would like to become more relevant to the needs of the current times and seasons, then it all starts with a decision. The decision to, one, appreciate how far you've come. The decision to recognize that whether you're where you want to be or not, you're here today. And that the decision that where you are today will not be the end of your journey in terms of improvement, transformation, and change. And deciding to change has got to be a resolute decision, a decision you're not willing to compromise for nothing. Because deciding to change and maintaining that decision requires determination and decision like never experienced before. Therefore, whatever the circumstances, like I mentioned earlier, it might be the passing away of a loved one that's got you to realize, life is short. We're here today and gone tomorrow. And that has triggered within you the desire to leave this world better than you've met it. There is your trigger. And from that experience, that feeling of meaningfulness, wanting to live a meaningful life, has got to be your trigger that you hold on to, and that will help establish vision moving forward. That feeling of inadequacy with the current level at which your potential is also a trigger for a change that you got to hold on to and measure yourself against moving forward. As a parent, or you're not yet even married, but every time you think about getting married, you desire a better standard. You desire to provide for your children a better experience. Right there is a trigger for change. You despising poverty, really despising how it makes you feel, right there is your trigger for change. You wanting to know better, understand better, get to a new level of expertise, right there is your trigger for change. You hating to run after bills and just basically leave to pay bills is a call to multiply your streams of income. People telling you, man, I'm sure you could go to a higher height. Right there is creation requesting for greatness within you to be unleashed more than you've done up until now. And the word of God says in Matthew 11 verse 28 to 29, and it's Jesus speaking. He says, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I'll give you rest." He proceeds to say, "Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I'm humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls." So in reality, these triggers of change come to signify, it's like an alert that tells us that we're weary of the current state in which we are. And Jesus is saying that all who are weary and you carry this heavy burden of that desire to be better, to change, that desire to leave this world better than you've met it, the good shepherd, Jesus says, "Come unto me, and I will give you rest." So as we respond to these triggers, let's not depend on our human ability to take us to the next level. Because Jesus is saying, I can give you the rest you're looking for. I can give you rest doesn't mean you don't change. You see, because he says here that I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. He has a better yoke to give you. A yoke of hope, a yoke of divine destiny in which you will never fail and you will fully be fulfilled, not just for the season, but for your entire existence. Therefore, as we wrap up with this episode, I'll leave us with this thought. What are the current triggers of change in our lives? What are those heavy burdens we absolutely want to make sure to hand over to Jesus so he can give us meaning for the current season and for the rest of our time on earth? Because he is truly the Good Shepherd, the only way, truth, and life. Thank you, dear leader, and I will see you in the next episode.